selling out the Forum. You know, first Madison Square Garden, now the Forum. And he's doing it because the fans just want to see him in the ring, regardless of who he fights against.
Tom, obviously.
Dante's Boxing Nation.
Sitting in the back. I just was sitting in the back with Tom Loeffler, the guy who. We gotta go. Okay, bro, I'm coming right now. I was sitting in the back with Tom Loeffler, and I'm just thinking, like, when is this fight gonna actually happen? You guys have to understand, I want the Triple G fight. Me and Triple G would be the best competitive middleweight fight that there is. There's no other person that has a chance to beat Triple G like I do. So we're waiting for that opportunity. I'm wanting that opportunity, but it just has to happen at the right time, because I'm not going to fight a Triple G for no chump change. Let me tell you that right now. So when the money gets right and the opportunity gets right, let's do it for when everything is worth the marvel. You understand? How much does it take? You say the office. It just takes enough to make me comfortable, and like I still want. He's the guy to beat, right? And I understand that.
So are you.
Right. But I'm still second to Golovkin because he's been in the game a little longer than I have. He solidified his spot for a little longer than I have. So I respect the game. But in the same breath, it's like, offer me the right money, and we could do this yesterday. They're not offering the right money right now, so it's just like, let's build up until I can get to a certain platform where it'll pay for itself.
How much they offer?
Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Man, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it looks like, according to reports, we have more bad news from what I just reported yesterday. Yesterday, I reported things didn't look good when it comes to negotiations between Gennady Golovkin and Danny Jacobs. I had a hunch that when Danny Jacobs, this clip that I just played for you guys, this was back following the Thurman versus Porter fight. That was immediately after that fight. And if you listen to the way Danny Jacobs was talking, I had a feeling Danny Jacobs was not going to end up facing Gennady Golovkin this soon. And it really sucks because this is the fight I really, really wanted to see. Matter of fact, I was going to go to New York and cover this fight live because that's how big this fight is. Now, according to reports, like I just told you guys a minute ago, I told you guys because of yesterday, they had 30 days. Golovkin and Danny Jacobs, they had 30 days to come to an agreement and sign a deal. But now, since the 30 days is almost exceeded, I told you guys in my last video, that's not a good sign because Golovkin's last fight, it only took him like a day to get a fight signed when he fought against Kell Brook. So when you see fighters negotiating for 30 whole days and it's getting close to purse bid time, that's usually a bad sign. The fight will not come to fruition, right? So I told you guys I didn't think this fight was going to happen. Now, that's what I reported yesterday. Now today, according to reports, now we find out that Danny Jacobs, he's now saying he would rather fight someone else before he fights against Gennady Golovkin. He wants another interim bout before he fights against Gennady Golovkin. And once again, according to reports, Tom Loeffler and Gennady Golovkin, they haven't given up. They still want this fight. They don't want Danny Jacobs to fight someone else. They want to fight Danny Jacobs next. And it's very unfortunate because once again, this is the biggest fight that could be made when it comes to Gennady Golovkin. For Gennady Golovkin, in terms of opponents, I truly believe this is the biggest fight that could be made outside of Golovkin facing Kovalev versus Ward Winner, which we know that fight is not available for him right now. So this is really unfortunate, man. This is really unfortunate. I told you guys a long time ago, I'm just going to reiterate. When you listen to what Danny Jacobs said, it never really sounded to me like he was jumping to fight Gennady Golovkin. And what's so sad about the situation is I truly believe that Danny Jacobs, he has the best chance to pull off an upset and possibly beat Gennady Golovkin. I'm not saying he will beat him, but I'm saying that's a 50-50 fight right there. I mean, you know, I always think about the fact that Danny Jacobs, he's been knocked out before. So with that being said, you know, it's kind of hard to determine how he would deal with Gennady Golovkin's punching power. But at the same time, the same thing could be said about Gennady Golovkin. We haven't really seen Gennady Golovkin get touched up by a guy who has the same type of power that he does. And I truly believe that Danny Jacobs, his power is very similar to Gennady Golovkin's. Let's just say if it was on a scale 1 to 10, you could probably say Golovkin is a 10 and Danny Jacobs is a 9, or maybe Golovkin is a 9 and Jacobs is a 9. We really don't know. But the bottom line is, this is really bad news. This is really, really bad news. I don't think the fight is going to happen after this news, and I say that because you could tell that Gennady Golovkin, once again, according to reports, they're still pushing for the fight. But once you hear Danny Jacobs say, "I'd rather fight someone else, not Golovkin," it's a very good chance we're not going to see this fight. And the situation, when he says, "I want another interim bout," I have to say, the situation sounds very similar to the Canelo situation, because right now, Danny Jacobs has the WBA regular belt. Golovkin has the super WBA belt. Right now, Danny Jacobs is in a situation where he could possibly get stripped if he doesn't fight Gennady Golovkin. So the situation is very, very similar to the Canelo situation. Now, the one thing I don't know is, I don't know how much money they offer Danny Jacobs. It would be really interesting to see how much money they offer Danny Jacobs, because I would love to do a comparison and see how much money Danny Jacobs made when he fought against Peter Quillin. Because, you know, when Danny Jacobs fought Peter Quillin, you know, before that fight was agreed upon, I don't recall ever hearing Danny Jacobs say, "Well, you know, the money has to be right. I'm not fighting Peter Quillin for no chump change." I don't recall Danny Jacobs ever saying that about Peter Quillin, but he is definitely saying this about Gennady Golovkin. Once again, I don't know how much money was offered to him. Now, and of course, if it was some type of ridiculous, you know, Lomachenko, Guillermo Rigondeaux type of offer, then I understand Danny Jacobs not taking the fight. For those of you guys who don't know, when Lomachenko and Guillermo Rigondeaux were negotiating, they offered Guillermo Rigondeaux $500,000. When Guillermo Rigondeaux, he made damn near $800,000 when he fought against Nonito Donaire. And that was actually before Rigo beat Donaire. So you would think after he beats Donaire, his stock goes up even more, right? It doesn't get lower. You're fighting against Guillermo Rigondeaux. So once again, if it was an offer like that, I could understand Danny Jacobs turning the fight down. But if he stood to make over $1 million, you know, matter of fact, I'm not going to speak too much on it, because like I said, I want to see the numbers. I would like to see the numbers. But at the end of the day, this is not good. This is bad news. This is bad news for boxing fans, and it's bad news for Gennady Golovkin, because I give Gennady Golovkin credit. This was a step-up fight for Gennady Golovkin. I looked at this fight as a 50-50 fight, and I feel these are the type of fights that Gennady Golovkin needs to prove that he's not just a fan favorite, that he's really considered pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, right? This is the fight that he needed, one of the fights that he needed. Now, once again, if he's not going to fight Danny Jacobs, we already know Billy Joe Saunders, he already has a fight coming up. He can't fight Billy Joe Saunders. Once again, you have Erislandy Lara, you have Aventel Kurzitse, the white Mike Tyson, the prospect that just knocked out the former undefeated Antoine Douglas, Kurzitse, and that would be a hell of a style matchup, because Kurzitse is built like Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson was his favorite fighter. He fights like Mike Tyson. He ain't as good as Mike Tyson, but he fights like Mike Tyson. And for someone to be short, compact, you know, getting on the inside of Golovkin, that would be very interesting to see how Golovkin deals with a style like that. So, you know, those are a couple of options for Gennady Golovkin. You also have the fighters at the super middleweight division, as always. I think right now, BOUT Jack and James DeGale, they're going to fight. I heard BOUT Jack just say the other day that he wants to fight Gennady Golovkin. You know, James DeGale has already called out Gennady Golovkin. James DeGale against Gennady Golovkin, I truly believe would be bigger than Golovkin Kell Brook was in the UK. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens. I mean, like I said in my last video, you know, I really wish Danny Jacobs would reconsider and take this fight next, because he has a possibility of pulling off the upset. And it would be very, very unfortunate for Danny Jacobs if someone else were to get that first win over Gennady Golovkin. And Danny Jacobs, he doesn't get to take advantage of the moment when it's being presented to him. So I'll keep following this story, but that's pretty much all I got for now, guys. I'm on to the next one.
Hi, my name is Janita, and you're watching Dante's Boxing Nation.